You must eat all of your food, children. You must eat all of your foods. There are hungry children starving in America. For only 53 cents a day, you too can become a sponsor and feed a starving child in the United States. Do you know that right now in the United States of America, the citizens are lining up the streets and around the block at the food pantry in order to receive a ration of food to feed the starving children in their home?
Alright, Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai Ba'asham Raka Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Kiam. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai Ba'asham Raka Kwadash. All praises and glory is due, especially in the times that we're in. This is the book of Job 20, verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? How the turns have tabled, how the tables have turned. No matter how you want to say it, right, you can clearly see that there is a clear changing of situation, right? Because due to the recent events and the recent happenings in America, Babylon the Great, where you had your president, DJ Trump, Nero Trump, right? He shut down food stamps and government assistance. He shut down free lunches and all the other forms of government assistance that you had in America, Babylon the Great, for citizens on food stamp, EBT, SNAP, and so on and so forth. And when that happened, you began to realize just how many Americans were actually on it, right? And how many Americans actually required that just to have a basic meal, not even a three square meal, but a basic meal. So now you are seeing food bank lines, become even greater in Babylon, right? The bread lines, and all the people of the world, or the nations of the world, are beginning to see, or rather I should say they are seeing what is going on in America, Babylon the Great, and they are beginning to mock, right? That is why the title of this video will be Art Thou as Weak as We? Right, because hey, Babylon's time has finally come, man. Babylon's time has finally come. What am I even saying? Babylon's time has is been here, right? Every single day, right? This kingdom, America, Babylon the Great, and Esau's kingdom, keeps getting exposed more and more. Okay. So now this is the book of Job 20, like I was reading, right? The triumphing of the wicked, the joy of the hypocrite, right? And we are in that time right now where all that is beginning to be, is beginning to come to naught, right? The little time, right? The little season that you Babylonians had to rule over the earth, right? And to use your hypocrisy and wickedness, right? To rule over the earth it has finally been cut short, right? So now you are seeing, Esau, Edom. We are seeing these devils being in the same situation that they used to mock the rest of the world for being in, right? Whenever they would mock communism for saying, oh, communism, puts their people in poverty, put their people on bread lines, making people go out, bringing up mass starvation. And now you have the same issue happening in America, Babylon the Great, when they used to mock about the starving children in Africa. And now you have the same situation in America, Babylon the Great, where because of the lack of these school lunches, right, you have a lot of children that are going to have to, starve. Okay, that's why the school lunches are so relevant in the first place, because you have, and of course, Esau is always PC when it comes to his own matters, quote unquote, food insecurity, right? And let's remember that the main recipients of the government assistances, SNAP, food stamp, EBT, so on and so forth, are actually Edomites, right? So called white Americans. Those are the main recipients for those government benefits. Okay, so that's why you see that even though you see all these videos of these nigger women out here crashing out about how they won't be able to receive their benefits, right? You have far more Edomites that are going to be in trouble and going to be unable to feed themselves because they will be unable to receive their benefits than Jake out here. Okay, and like I said, they are currently flooding the food banks, right? Currently going to the food drives and anywhere else in which they can actually get food from, and this is showing you, right, just how low America Babylon the Great has always been. Okay, because without the government assistance, without all these little tricks and tactics that the government uses in order to hide the the degradation of America, Babylon the Great. You not see just how bad the country has become. So now all these different government subsidies that existed in order to hide just how far America, Babylon the Great has fallen is being undone, right? So let me go into another precept real quick. Yeah, because now man, hey, this just showed, just like we said, man, that America, Babylon the Great is falling, okay, and this kingdom is going to go down, right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Sham Yahweh, of course, and we're seeing that happening in real time, and you're seeing all these different, you know, infrastructures that were set up in America, Babylon the Great, the different systems all crumbling down in real time. So, of course, we know that the main reason why this is happening is because the elites of Esau Edom, they are currently setting the stage, right, for a new world order, so to speak, right, quote unquote, a great reset. And that's why you see the government is taking people off the government assistance, because hey, Esau will bring it back. That's the thing. Don't expect Esau to keep this government assistance, locked down forever. Esau Edom will eventually bring it back, and of course, it will be brought back with the caveat that every single person that wants to sign up for those government assistance benefits has to register, right? Has to use a digital ID, has to, basically mark themselves in a way, quote unquote, wink, wink, mark themselves in a way in order for them to be verified that they are currently receiving and qualify for that's government assistance. Because one of the main reasons, right, why Trump is citing that he's taking out the government assistance is because of the high amounts of fraud that takes place when people are receiving this thing. They're receiving it illegally. They're using fraud to get it, right. You had articles of a woman that used her food stamps to basically bake cakes and sell them, right. But like I said, man, America, Babylon the Great is being uncovered. It is being unraveled in real time, and the world is beginning to see just how poor and wretched and degraded and low, right, Babylon really is. Isaiah 47 verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne for thee, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate, right? The American dream, the land of opportunity, the home of the free, right? The land of the brave, or whatever the fuck Esau likes to say. All these things have begun to become naught because nobody is actually believing that bullshit anymore, right? You're now realizing, and the world is now realizing, right, that all the greatness that America, Babylon the Great, had spouted is simply propaganda, right? It's just the deception, right? The covering cast that has been cast over all the nations, the deception that Esau Edom used to deceive the whole earth, and of course, the truth is finally coming out, right? The truth is being revealed about America, Babylon the Great. That's why you see, Trump, making all these grand designs and grand, gestures and statements like, oh, he's going to invade Nigeria, he's going to invade Venezuela, right? He was planning on, when he first came into office, he was planning on, invading Greenland, right? Because I believe that Greenland is a site for natural gases, right? Because of the resources in it, and that's basically what Trump ultimately is after, trying to secure resources for his donors, right? In order for them to continue to grow their riches, right? Because that's what they paid Trump for, in order for him to be put in that position as the president. Okay, so yeah, Babylon is being exposed in real time. So now the world is beginning to see America, Babylon the Great, for what it truly is, right? For the kingdom that it truly is. And now everybody sees America, Babylon the Great, for what it truly is. the bloody city, right? Full of lies. And let's go and get that. Let's go and get that. Nahum 3 verse 1. And I love this precept right here, man. Nahum 3 verse 1. Woe to the bloody city, it is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not, and exactly the world is beginning to see America, Babylon the Great, for what it truly is. It isn't the beacon of freedom and liberty that it claimed itself to be, but rather it is a lowland, right? A valley of wickedness that it truly is, right? Babylon the Great is being exposed for being exactly that, Babylon the Great, right? The mother of harlots. So let's continue going into this. Right, Isaiah 47 verse 2. Take the okay, I already got okay, yeah. Isaiah 47 verse 2. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man, and the shame, right, of America, Babylon the Great, is being revealed. That is why you are seeing that all the records of all the wickedness that Esau, Edom, right, America, Babylon the Great had done in the past is slowly being uncovered, because the truth is coming out. The real facts about this wicked ass kingdom is being revealed in real time, right before the eyes of the whole world, and especially the wickedness of America, Babylon the Great, to the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the scattered Israelites that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And it's beautiful to see, man. But we already knew that this would happen. Alright, we already saw this coming. I already saw this song coming. So now let me get another quick precept, right? So yeah, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 7. And Jehovah thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee, right? And the curses are beginning to reverse on Esau, Edom. So now, right, the hunger, right, the so now even the things that they were saying about Jake, right, the bywords and the proverbs, the whole thing about the starving kids in Africa. And the funny thing about that is that that whole thing of starving children in Africa even started because of Jake here in Nigeria, right? When the Biafra war was happening, and basically what happened was the Nigerian government locked in the Biafran resistance soldiers, all right, and the Biafran resistance autonomous zone, right, and locked it in, and basically cut off all the supplies of food into that region. And due to that, you had a lot of starvation. So all these pictures of Jake starving and Jake being completely hungry, Jake just being bones, right? How the scripture said their visage is darker than black, right? Their skin cleaved to their bones. That should be Lamentations, the second chapter. Let's get that. Their visage is blacker than a coal. That's basically what was happening during the Biafran war, right? A fulfillment, not say fulfillment, because this was something that happened to our people, but it's basically the same situation right here, right? And basically, this same precept that was happening to our people. Lamentations 4 verse 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaved to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. And that was what was happening during the Biafra war, where you had Jake, right, the Igbos that were trying to basically secede from Nigeria and segregate into their own country, right? But the issue with the whole Igbo, a lot of the Igbo tribes, the regions that a lot of the Igbo tribes are in, right, that is landlocked, so no ports. So as soon as the Nigerian government cut off the supply lines and cut off the food, we now had mass starvation. And all those pictures of all the Biafran children, right, the children in Africa starving, now went into the West, right, the Babylon and Europe as well, which Europe is already going through its own financial crisis that is causing its own issues as well. That's the Most High Yahweh Shami Shai visiting these devils. And due to that, that started the whole idea of that started the whole thing of When your children don't want to eat their food completely, now say, don't you know there are starving children in Africa? You gotta eat that food well. That's where that actually came from. It was Jake, right? And that is part of the bywords and the proverbs that were used against our people. And now, that same, and now, that is now turning back on Esau, Edom, right? The curses are beginning to be turned back on Esau, Edom, and hey, that's just that's just the beauty of being out here in these last days, man. We see with our eyes the destruction of our enemies, right? Which is of course Esau, Edom, the so-called red man. So let's go back to that. So yeah, okay, I read everything I wanted to read out of there, right? That and what the last thing I quoted, that was Psalm 91. Only with an eye shall I see the reward. Psalm 91. Only with thine eyes shalt thou see the reward of the wicked. So this is the book of Psalms 91 verse 8. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Call halal Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash, right? And that's a beautiful statement right there, and it shows you that the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is visiting Esau, Edom, and bringing the downfall and the destruction of this kingdom, right? So now you can clearly see that, right? That's why the nations are able to stand up to Esau in the times that we're in. Iran is standing up to Esau right now, right? China just dealt a major blow to Esau, Edom, right, by saying that they will no longer be trading their rare earth mineral resources with America, Babylon, the Greece, which is a big deal because those rare earth mineral resources are mainly used by Esau, Edom for weapons. That's why the scripture says, blessing is the sword. How can you still argue that the so-called white man is not the devil, which the Bible speaks of, right? When the bulk of the resources that he is actually taking from this earth is being used as weapons, tools of war, right, by these devils. So let's get this. It's actually in the book of Job 13. So let's see what that become as we. Okay, so I cannot Job 30. I meant Joel 3. So I cannot Joel 3. Joel 3. Joel 3. So that should be either Joel 3 or Isaiah 14. Let's search for it in the let's search for it. Oh yeah, it is Isaiah 14. So this is the book of Isaiah 14 verse 9. Okay, so Isaiah 14 verse 10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Right. So the nations are beginning to mock Esau, Edom, and they're beginning to mock you devils, man. And they're beginning to say that even you have been put, or you are in the same position that we are in your kingdom, in your world, right? Being, even though you devils are supposed to be in power, even though it's supposed to be Edomite supremacy, right? You still have a lot of these Edomites that are at the bottom in their own kingdom, and the nations are going to mock you devils, man. And it's going to even now on this side, you already see that happening, right? Where the nations are beginning to mock at Esau, right, and beginning to buck up against Esau, Edom, because they are realizing that these devils are no longer as powerful as they used to be, right? The same way that Jake in this time is no longer the same as their ancestors, right? To an extent, Esau, Edom as well, they're no longer the same as their ancestors because they're no longer having that level of brutality and basically they're no longer having that same backing from the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to be able to destroy the earth the way that they did. Okay, right, so I'm going to end the video right there. Once again, all praises, honor and glory unto the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit of Yakim and Joaquas were edified. Shalom.